I'd like to call to order the September 8th full board meeting of the Single Family Design Board, starting with roll call.
Thank you, Vice Chair Sherry. I'll start with in-person public, I will start with roll call, getting ahead of myself. Vice Chair Sherry,
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
Board Member Richards,
Present.
and I think I just saw
And-
Mosley here coming.
Hold that thought.
Hold that thought.
Hold that thought.
Okay, and Board Member Mosley.
Yes.
Great, we have quorum. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to public comment. This is for any comment about anything other than an item on the agenda. Go ahead.
Thank you, Board. Thank you, Vice Chair Sherry. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for general public comment. If anyone wishes to make a comment, they may fill one out and bring it to me. I see no one in the audience moving to do so, so we will turn our attention to virtual attendance. And at this time, I do not have any hands raised for general public comment virtually, and we did not receive any written correspondence for general public comment. So at that, I will turn it back over to you, Vice Chair Sherry.
Thank you. Moving on to approval of the minutes of the Single Family Design Board meeting of August 25th. I had one comment on item A. Item one, sorry. Stop right there. The motion number one, the second sentence says railings will have the same simple design as shown in the elevations and not as shown in the manufacturer's details. And not as shown in the manufacturer's details. And that's all I had. Does anybody else have any other comments? Does anybody want to make a motion to approve these minutes?
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
A second? You can second it even though you weren't there.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Oh, did you say that first and I didn't hear you? Oh, sorry. All right.
Okay, well, we will take a roll call vote. Board Member Richards,
Yes.
Board Member Mosley,
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sherry,
Yes.
motion passes.
Moving on to the approval of the minutes of the Single Family Design Board consent meeting of August 25th.
I have reviewed this. I don't have any comments, if anybody else has.
Do you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the consent meeting of August 25th.
Seconder?
Second.
Okay, we'll take a vote. Board Member Mosley,
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
Board Member Richards,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sherry,
Yes.
motion passes.
Moving on to item D, ratification of action taken on the consent calendar of September 2nd and September 8th.
Thank you, Vice Chair Sherry. Just for the record, these consent items are posted on today's full board agenda, so I'll be referencing that. For the ratification, for September 2nd, items 1 and 2, the actions were listed on the agenda. Item 1 was granted project design approval and final approval on September 2nd, and the second item was granted final approval as submitted. For today's consent items, item A, 529 De La Vina Street, was continued indefinitely to the staff hearing officer with comments. It was there for conceptual review. And item B, 1704 Mission Ridge Road, was granted project design and final approval as submitted. And that is all.
Thank you. We're on item E, announcements, requests by applicants for continuances.
Pardon, Vice Chair Sherry, if you could make a motion to ratify
Oh, sorry.
to ratify
I forgot
those
we ratified those.
consents.
I'll make a motion to ratify the action taken on consent calendar of September 2nd and September 8th.
I will second that.
Thank you.
Okay, we will take a vote. Board Member Gaffidy,
Yes.
Board Member Richards,
Yes.
Board Member Moslehy,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sherry.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, now announcements.
I have no announcements to make at this time. Thank you.
All right, moving on to our first item on the agenda. This is a continued item it's here today for project design approval for 1260 Northridge Road. This is
Would you like me to read it?
sure. I would love for you to read it.
Sure. Item 1, 1260 Northridge Road, for project design approval. The 1.84 acre lot is developed with a 2,599 square foot residence and a 969 square foot attached garage. The proposed project consists of a 1,385 square foot addition to the residence and a 15 square foot addition to the garage. The project also includes exterior changes, removal of trees, new landscape and hardscape, and site improvements. The proposed total of 4,968 square feet of development on an 80,150 square foot lot is 91% of the maximum guideline floor area ratio, FAR. The staff hearing officer approved a front setback modification on August 6, 2025. Review and approval of a vegetation removal permit is required from the Single Family Design Board. Project design approval is requested. Neighborhood preservation findings and hillside design district and slope findings and vegetation removal findings are required. Project was last heard on March the 10th of 2025.
Thank you. Your names for the record.
My name is Stefan Errer. I'm with Mosaic Architects.
Shelby Jenke with SEPS.
Stacy Fawcett, I'm the landscape architect.
All right.
Great. Thank you, Vice Chair and board members. I will do a very, very quick introduction. As mentioned, this project at 1260 Northridge Road recently went to the staff hearing officer early in August for approval of modification for the front yard setback. As just a quick reminder, the modification was necessary. I don't know, my controls here on this one. Perfect. Modification was necessary really as sort of a technical issue because the majority of the existing house is already within the front setback area due to a street easement for potential future street widening, which resulted in the front setback being taken much farther back in the property. So as noted, the modification was approved, and we're excited to be here for project design approval to really show you how we've responded to your comments from March 10th. The project really has not changed much other than details. We have materials to show you and responding to your comments. So I'm going to quickly pass it off to the design team. Thank you.
It's good to be back. Can you hear me? Yeah. Yes, we barely made any changes, and the changes we made were based on the great comments that we received from the board. I brought, this is all parts of the set that you actually have available. And
If you want everybody to see that, you're going to have to give it to me, and then we have to put it on the camera.
Here we go. So this is the existing building. Here we go.
And it's got a glare on it.
A little glare on it. Just a little. Perfect. And I think the best way, if you would mind putting this. Excellent. Wow. And then this is the after. So if you could put that on top of the bottom. Yeah. So above is what's currently existing. Below is what was received conceptual approval for. No real changes to that. Just wanted to give you a quick reminder of what we're doing and how beautiful the new house is going to be. And then this is the rendering on the back. So if you are in a helicopter flying over the valley, on the back says if you shift that up. And then on the last time we received 4 comments and we all addressed them. They were really great. The first one was that in yellow, I think you mentioned that one of the windows on the back didn't appear to be consistent with the architecture, so we changed the yellow window from a slot window to a more proportional window that is in keeping with the proportions we have on the rest of the house. In red is the outline of the maximum height that we are allowed to have, so we didn't infringe upon that at all. The other yellow thing on the left, there was a comment from you, Christopher, where the door was leading to a roof deck that didn't have a guardrail on it, so we're now showing the guardrail. So that is new. And then this drawing really shows, same thing, that we're really not coming even close to the maximum height that we're allowed to. The bulk didn't really change, the materials didn't change. Everything is very similar to what we presented last time. And then the last exhibit, and by the way, these are all just pages that are in the set. I just highlighted in yellow what the changes are. And then in the last exhibit, this is where we're showing the guardrail on the roof deck. There's a small pergola that we added to the stair volume because we felt it could use a little shadow line as it travels up. And then the last comment was for you, Stacy, where the retaining walls, instead of having a sloped top, we stepped them down. So overall, we're really, really happy with the way the design turned out to be. This is from the public road looking down at the property. So you can see the stepped road, the stepped sidewalls, and then the pergola, which really becomes part of the massing that was there before, the delicate guardrail that is on top of the deck. So we don't think that any of the bulk really was impacted at all by adding these elements. And then the last part is the materials. So this was included in the package as well. I want to start from the bottom. We're using a gray porcelain paver. Right over here. And then the stucco. Just give me the entire thing. Give me the entire thing. Yeah, porcelain has come a really long way.
Yeah.
Stucco sample. And then this is the finish of the stucco, which is a Santa Barbara finish. And we're envisioning a fairly neutral off-white color that seems to be consistent with the house. Then the accents are, the windows and doors are matte black. There's a few accents on the house that we are keeping, like purlins and rafters, and all the pergolas. They're also going to be painted in that matte black color. So that's this color here. And then a few areas have at the underside of the roof, like this piece here. We want to get rid of the stain because the stain doesn't feel like it's in keeping with the architecture anymore. So we're painting it a slightly darker tan color. And then the final two accents are the existing copper gutters, which we are recreating, and then cable railing to make the railings really delicate and go away. And then we are keeping the terracotta tile roof. So overall, the palette is fairly muted, fairly natural, and pretty much in keeping with a natural-inspired contemporary home. Thank you.
All right. Public comment.
Thank you, Vice Chair Sherry. I will start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for this particular project. However, if anyone wishes to make a comment, they may fill one out and bring it to me. I see no one in the audience moving to do so, so we will now turn our attention to virtual comment. And at this time, I do not have any hands raised for virtual comment on this project, and we did not receive any written correspondence. So at that, I will turn it back over to you, Vice Chair Sherry.
Thank you. Kelly, are you here for the next project? Or did you want to say something about this project?
Kelly brought us in with community development. I'm just here to observe, and then, yes, the project did receive approval for the front setback modifications for encroachments and additions.
All right, thanks. Okay, questions from the board?
I can jump in. I know you mentioned the height under the limitation. Can you just remind me, is there a height change from what's currently there to what you're creating, or is it staying the same?
Great question. So if you go to the existing house, there is a tower that is currently the dining room that has the octagon, and that seemed to be really awkward in terms of how it does not step down with slope. So we're actually taking the tower off and we're shifting the volume over closer to the high part of the building.
Okay, but at the highest part of the house, that's not,
We're way below.
and that's not shifting from what's currently there?
Correct.
Okay, great. Super helpful. And then can you remind me for vegetation removal, are there like native trees on site, or what is happening with that?
I believe we've already completed the vegetation removal permit and package. It was reviewed by the trees department, so
Okay.
there's existing non-natives. There was some queen palms we took out, so it's all non-native type material.
Okay.
Yes.
Just to, excuse me, just to add on, so we had setback trees that went to the committee, and again, that's really just because the setback is nearly, the majority of the house.
Right.
So that's what went to Street Tree Advisory Committee and was approved by Parks and Rec Commission. And then because this is in the Hillside Design District, for the general kind of non-natives and plants that are being replaced that Stacy mentioned, the findings have to be made for the vegetation removal.
Okay, so, and then maybe my question would be, and I'm looking at some of the imagery here, but are there, I know they're non-native, but we're in the front setback, are there species or trees proposed to replace those?
Yeah, we went into a lot of detail during the previous presentation. It was
Okay.
really well received by the board. So
I think it would be,
we can
excuse me for interjecting.
revisit.
But I think it would be a good idea to review it because we have to make the findings in the hillside
Okay.
slope lot findings and as part of our motion for project design approval. So if you want to just briefly go through those again, it would be a good idea.
Great. City TV, could we switch to the plans, please? Perfect. Stacy, I'll let you run through. Let me know if you want me to switch the sheet.
I think this is fine.
Okay.
So the areas around the house are being simplified. We are using drought tolerant, some natives in the area, especially on the slope areas where you use ceanothus. We're utilizing, you can see the plant material on the screen, but the ceanothus, the drought tolerant rosemary, lantana, pittosporum, lavender, a few splashes of color the clients are fond of with the lantana, little ollies, and the cassia with the bright red flowers as well. So there's a lot of gravel ground cover in the front as well. So trying to keep it as drought tolerant as possible. They have a beloved dog, so there is a small grass area. And then
For trees, I'm seeing the cassia, is that just the one tree proposed?
Correct,
For
yes.
landscaping? Are there other mature trees on the property that we're keeping?
there are existing oak trees on the property.
Okay.
There are some heteromelies down on the slope. It's a very steep slope down lower on the ravine side.
Okay.
We are keeping some of the existing queen palms.
Okay.
And there's some existing shamrops palms that we are relocating with on the site so that we, accommodate for the grade changes and utilize them there because they're
Okay,
really
great.
pretty nice.
So it sounds like the native oaks that are on the property are to remain, the trees
Correct.
that were in the front setback
Yes.
proved to be removed. There is a cassia going in and some other foliage, but, okay.
Correct.
I think that's
And
helpful.
relocating the palm, the
I'm
shamrock.
still, I'm sorry, I'm still confused as to what trees are being removed.
So there were a number of the queen palms along the front that were removed, and that required review and approval through the Street Tree Advisory Committee and then Parks and Rec, again, because they're technically in the setback area. And so then, as Stacy mentioned, the majority are either existing to remain and then the new.
But there was no requirement from the Street Tree Committee to replace any trees of,
There were no specific conditions
Okay.
to be, those
Okay.
needed to be replaced. Again, kind of other than, and I'm forgetting what you said the species was here that is a
Cassia.
new one, cassia.
Yeah.
but that's just part of the landscape plan. That has nothing to do with replacing or
Replace-
mitigating
No,
from.
they didn't require.
There were no
Okay.
mitigations.
No.
So the only trees that are being removed are the palms in the front yard setback.
They're being relocated. There was a coral tree. If you go up a
Yeah,
sheet,
go up to the other
I
sheet.
think there's right there. Wait, let's pan down a little bit.
There we
See
go.
the tree removal key?
Here we go.
3 queen palms, relocation, the 2 shamrops, and
Can you
yeah.
point all this stuff out for me? I'm just trying, what we want to do is we want to know what trees are being removed so we can make the findings.
Okay.
So if you look at this tree removal summary right here, there were 3 queen palms that were, again, right about here, if you see where my cursor is on the plan, as well as relocation of the European fan palm, 2 of those.
Right.
And they were all really right
See the
along
item
here.
number 2, the call out number 2, to your
Yeah,
left.
there you go.
right
There's your
there.
other one, too.
That's
It
one
was
of
over
the
here.
shamrocks. And then up further, there's a number 2 to the right of the cursor.
Right
Nope.
here.
Yep, right there. There's a number 2. Number 1 is
Are
the
these
queen
removals?
palms being, removed. Exactly.
And you mentioned a coral tree?
There was a tiny coral tree that ended up, it was
I think it was
undersized.
proved that it was actually smaller than, it was too small, that it didn't need to be reviewed.
Yeah, makes sense.
It was under 4 inches.
More questions?
Yeah, sure. Can you show us on the previous plans and the current plans, the elevation of that? I think it's east elevation, the window. You mentioned that we had a comment, and can we see the before and after? Just revisit it.
Yeah. Great. So it went from a slot window
Yes.
into the stone to
Let's look at it side by side.
what's the east elevation?
I think. I'm not sure if it's east. 402, yes.
Here we go.
Yes.
So adjacent to the stone stair, that's a little long slot window,
Yes.
and that was revised to be a more harmonious proportional.
Can we go to the new one? Yes, please.
Through the vice chair to the applicant team, just a reminder to make sure your microphones are on while you're describing anything of the project so we can just get you on the record. So that means the green light is on your microphones when you're speaking. Thank you.
Okay.
Here we go. So that's the new elevation right there.
Okay, thank you. And another question, is there anywhere you guys are showing that I'm not seeing the exterior lighting? On your-
Do we have that in the material?
I'm seeing on elevation some exterior lighting, but I'm not seeing what is been specified. No? On the west elevation, there are some exterior lighting on the elevation, but you don't have it.
We haven't picked.
You haven't picked.
We
Okay.
haven't picked the actual lighting.
Thank you
yet.
so much. That was my questions.
No additional questions?
No questions? Can we just look at the comments from the last meeting one more time? I just
Sure.
wanted to see them.
Here we go.
All right. Comments? Board Member Graffiti.
Yeah, I think it's a nice improvement and feel comfortable with the landscape improvements. And I think one thing is just if we wanted to make a motion to approve today, just we have to condition with some of the lighting to be night sky compliant. But otherwise, just looking at the motion from before and the guiding comments and looking at the project, I feel comfortable approving today.
Thank you. Board Member Mosley.
I agree as well. I think the applicant has provided all the items that we have mentioned and like just a couple of minor conditions. I think it's ready to be approved.
I appreciate you guys walking us through the landscape removal and vegetation removal stuff and the street trees. I think the project looks good and is an improvement over what's there, so.
All right. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I can do that. Just one under discussion, just the condition to be, the exterior lighting to be,
Yeah, to recommend night sky compliant, and
Okay.
that can probably be added in the motion as it's part of the findings that we have to make.
okay. Oh, yes, okay. Okay,
Oh, and just a question for the board, because I'm not sure if this was brought up by the applicant team or not, but if, just a reminder, the board can consider to continue this project to consent for final approval if you feel that the conditions can be met there.
do we agree? Yes, okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
And, yeah, it can be, yeah,
Or final consent?
yeah.
That would be great.
And let
Good
me
to be-
see. Let me double check the dates here. I don't have that on me at the moment. This is great. Now I know what to be prepared for, even though
No
I've done this
pressure.
forever.
We can make a indefinite continuance, and if you can get them on in 2 weeks, then you can, and if you can't, you can't.
Yeah, let me see. I do have room on the 22nd, so if the applicant feels ready that they'd be able to submit plans no later than September the 15th for a 22nd hearing date, we can continue to date certain of the 22nd at consent. Does that work for your team?
That sounds amazing.
Okay,
I'm
perfect.
planning on sleeping.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, I move to continue the project indefinitely to the consent calendar of September 22nd for final approval. And to the staff, should I add that we approve for the project design approval?
Yeah, so,
First?
so it would be for project design approval.
Okay.
And with continuance
To final.
to the September 22nd consent hearing for final approval.
Okay. And with conditions to have the exterior lighting night sky compliant. And let's do the findings. Okay. The proposed development is consistent with the scenic character of the city and will enhance the appearance of the neighborhood. The proposed development is compatible with the neighborhood, and its size, bulk, and scale is appropriate to the site and neighborhood. The proposed buildings and structures are designed with quality architectural detail. The proposed materials and colors maintain the natural appearance of the ridgeline or hillside. The proposed trees to be removed and relocated has been reviewed by the Street Tree Advisory.
Parks and Rec.
And our board has reviewed them and approved.
Find them aesthetically appropriate.
Find them aesthetically appropriate. Can we go to the next one? We're done? Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. The public health, safety, and welfare are appropriately protected and preserved. The project generally complies with the Good Neighbor Guidelines regarding privacy, landscaping, noise, and lighting. The development, including proposed structures and grading, preserves significant public scenic views of and from the hillside. The development, including the proposed structures and grading, is appropriate to the site, is designed to avoid visible scarring, and does not significantly modify the natural topography of the site or the natural appearance of any ridgeline or hillside. The development maintains a scale and form that blends with the hillside by minimizing the visual appearance of structures and overall height of structures.
And we also do have the vegetation removal findings.
The proposed vegetation removal will not significantly increase siltation in or decrease the water quality of streams, drainages, or water storage facilities to which the property drains, and the proposed vegetation removal will not cause a substantial loss of southern oak woodland habitat, and the proposed vegetation removal will comply with all applicable provisions of Chapter 22.10 vegetation removal of this code, Ordinance 5798207, Ordinance. Should I read all? Okay.
No, just of this code is appropriate.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, do we have a seconder?
Just quickly, did you mention something under lighting? I might have missed that.
I mentioned it as
Okay,
when
perfect. Okay,
approved it
great.
as a condition,
Okay,
yes.
great, thanks. I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion?
No.
Okay, call for a vote.
All right. Board Member Richards?
Yes.
Board Member Moslahy?
Yes.
Board Member Gaffidy?
Yes.
Vice Chair Sherry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
you.
And I just wanted to announce the appeal period for this item. So I don't think we had any public comment, but if you guys choose to appeal, you have 10 days to do so. But we'll see you at consent. Thank you.
We're 5 minutes, or 4 minutes ahead of schedule. Are we okay to move forward onto the second item?
Yes, we should be able to. We usually have a grace period of about 15 minutes. Is the applicant here for item 2? Excellent. Yeah, we can go ahead and get started. Let me set up the computer, and I can read the scope of work as well. It's quite long, so if you want to
Yeah,
wait a
this is
minute.
for 3102 Sea Cliff. Hi.
All right. Item 2, 3102 Sea Cliff. This item is here for conceptual review. The 51,016 square foot lot located in the non-appealable jurisdiction of the coastal zone is currently developed with a 4,654 square foot single unit residence and an attached 707 square foot 3-car garage. The proposal includes converting the existing 707 square foot attached garage into habitable space and constructing a new 2-story, 1,180 square foot second story accessory dwelling unit, ADU, above a new detached 661 square foot garage and 282 square foot storage structure located in the front yard. The roof of the proposed ADU will be a retaining green roof. The proposed total of 7,483 square feet of development on a 51,016 square foot lot is 146% of the guideline maximum floor area ratio, FAR. Staff hearing officer reviewed and approval of a front yard modification to allow the storage structure in the front yard is required. No final appealable decision will take place at this hearing. The staff hearing officer requests comments for project design supportability for a front yard modification. Neighborhood preservation findings and hillside design district and slope lot findings will be required when the project is reviewed for project design approval.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your name for the record.
Erica Obertelli for Buildston Architecture and Planning.
Oh, pardon the interruption, Vice Chair Sherry, before the applicant
Oh, I'm sorry.
presentation. Yeah, we did have
See you.
yeah.
It's okay.
We have comments from the planner.
Yeah,
Thank
so Jillian Fennessy, the case planner for this project. The project description covers most of it. I just wanted to note that the ADU qualifies under the administrative design criteria, so it's not subject to SFDB review. And just in general, this is coming to design review because it's in the Hillside Design District with this average slope of 26%. And it's a conceptual review, and it is intended to give initial feedback on the project and as well as the overall appropriateness of the design of the project.
So we can comment on the design. Even you said, the first thing you said was that it's not subject to design review, and then you said it is.
There's other site improvements that are included in the project.
So we're not allowed to comment on the appropriateness of the ADU or the design of the ADU.
Correct. But it is built on top of a garage and storage structure, so
That's requesting a front yard setback. So what are we supposed to do?
So the ADU doesn't require design approval, but because it's on top of a storage structure and garage that's in the front yard, you can comment on the storage in the garage.
And Just to clarify,
Yeah.
I believe the front yard modification is only for the storage, because technically the garage and the ADU are fine in the front yard, but the storage is the one that needs your approval. The planning department, my understanding was they found it to be supportable, if you guys agree with them.
Why don't we just get into the project so we'll
Yeah, I think
understand
that
it,
would
and if
help.
we have more questions,
Okay.
do you have more staff?
Well, I was just trying to understand. I thought when an ADU was proposed to be in the front yard that we do review it.
That's what I thought.
That's what I thought as well, like it triggers the SFDB when it's in the front.
And it
yard.
needs a mod, so that's why I thought, that's why we're a little confused as to what we can comment on. But why don't we get the presentation and then maybe it will become apparent.
Yeah, and then we
Okay.
can get clarification from
Go
staff.
ahead. Sorry about that.
That's fine. So this is the existing residence on site, and I wanted to spend a second just looking at this because the ADU garage is very close to this building, and so we are using this as the template for the proposed ADU garage. This house was built about 40 years ago. It's a plaster residence with a very solid face toward the driveway, with a very open south-facing set of windows and doors. The ADU, if you look at this view up here, is sited right here, sort of toward the front of that building. So this area here is where the ADU will be going. There's a very steep slope going down to Cliff Drive at the south edge of the property. This is north-south. Sea Cliff comes through here, and the driveway enters right along this portion here. That's a zoomed-in version of this survey just to show you the area of work. We've reviewed this through civil, and in the process, Stormwater has revised how they're reading this, so we now no longer have to mitigate 100% of the stormwater because we're beyond the limits of the previous project. So the green roof will no longer be part of the project because of that. That was one thing I wanted to just address in the notes for the project. Here you see the landscape. So we will be extending. There's a pretty significant olive orchard with rosemary and plants below it that will be extending across the driveway into the area around the ADU. So it will be one continuous campus. The existing driveway is gravel, as is the substrate around all of the plantings. So we will just continue that in this area. This is currently concrete, so it will become permeable after the project is concluded. Here on the right is the garage space. So there's a little bit of storage. There's an entry here. The ADU entrance is here with a stair straight up. Off of the garage area, there's a small bathroom. And then here's that back storage area. The second story of the ADU has a great room with kitchen, living area, little dining space, 2 bedrooms, and 2 bathrooms. As you can see, the elevations really are an extension of the existing house with the planar walls. This will be plaster, same as the main house. Sort of large, simple openings. This is that north view facing toward the driveway. This here is the south view, which faces the existing garage, now soon to be media room. And then here are the updated elevations at the garage doors that will face this south elevation. The west elevation faces toward the main campus and the driveway. So you can see where those various doors are. And then here's the elevation along the east property line. And you can see how the slopes are coming down quite significantly as the building sits. So we've set it down as much as we can to make these the heights at each floor work. And then here you can see, I think this lowest view here shows you how it really becomes an extension of the main house, and that the language of the architecture is extended in the way in which we've wrapped those windows and we have those planar walls. Here again, you can see the language of the planar plaster walls at the main house extending into that garage. The inspiration for the garage door is the gate to the property. There's also a wooden gate, so the two things speak to one another. So we're keeping the palette as simple as possible and keeping it in line with what's already there. That's my presentation.
All right, thank you. Public comment.
Thank you, Vice Chair Sherry. I will start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for this particular project. However, if anyone wishes to make a comment, they may fill one out and bring it to me. I see no one in the audience moving to do so, so we will turn our attention to virtual comment. And at this time, I do not have any hands raised for virtual comment, and we did not receive any written correspondence for this project. So I thought I'll turn it back over to you, Vice Chair Sherry.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
Vice Chair Sherry, if I could kind of maybe clarify.
Yes, please.
The ADU is built above a new garage, so that exempts it from architectural design. So because it's above a new garage, then it meets the architectural design criteria.
What's the height limit for being exempt from architectural design as a new ADU?
So because it's over a garage, it can go up to whatever the height is in that zone, I believe.
So if somebody were building an ADU that went to 30 feet high above a garage, it would not have to go to design review if it was above a garage.
So the code reads for front yard locations, the construction of a new detached accessory dwelling unit located in the front yard shall be subject to the following. And then it says, unless constructed entirely over a new or reconstructed detached garage that meets all of the criteria in 2886 E4 of this chapter, the new unit shall be no more than 1 story and less than 18 feet in height. But the A and B, based on my understanding from what the case planner has shared, wouldn't apply because it is entirely constructed over a new detached garage.
The entire ADU?
That's my understanding, unless the
That's
case
like
planner wants to clarify.
nowhere more clear to me than.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And,
read
so
that
you were
different.
saying, you were starting to say that a detached ADU over a new garage is not subject to design review. And that's kind of what we heard when you were originally proposing, what it was that we could review. And then, can you just clarify what you said about, like, are we reviewing the ADU or are we not?
No, so you should not be reviewing the ADU. It is outside of the purview because it is constructed entirely over a new reconstructed garage. So it's because it meets the administrative criteria because it is being constructed over a new, entirely reconstructed garage.
So what are we reviewing again, exactly?
So it would be everything outside of that ADU scope of work specifically, which I believe is the front yard modification for the new storage that needs a modification because storage use, I don't believe, is allowed in the front yard zone, correct?
Correct.
Is not allowed in the front yard.
The storage, correct.
Is not allowed in the front yard.
Correct. The
Correct, it's
storage.
not allowed. So that's why we're reviewing it.
Correct, yes.
So so can you go back to the site plan and show us where that storage is really quickly so we all know what we're.
So here's the garage. This wedge here is the storage. This is that primary setback, and then the ADU setback is over here. And then there's the front yard setback, so it's this chunk right here. Is that
So to me, it looks like the storage is not in the front yard setback.
It's not in the front yard setback, but it's in the front yard.
Oh. So the
Yeah.
only thing we're reviewing, correct me if I'm wrong, is the storage that's in the front yard, not the front yard setback. And that's the only thing that we're reviewing.
And the garage.
We're not reviewing the garage.
The garage is a load in that area. It's the.
Yeah, it's just this.
The aesthetic
appropriateness
of the garage. Yes, we can review.
Yeah.
Are we reviewing the garage?
You can review the aesthetic appropriateness.
All right. Questions from the board? Board member Graffiti.
Thanks, great. Okay. Couple questions. One, I know this is a guideline, FAR, but do we have any information about FAR in the immediate neighborhood?
In this zone, it doesn't apply.
Well,
I see.
I think for us, so it's not a required FAR in the sense that it needs to be 85%. I just mean more as I'm thinking about the scale of the property and perceived from the public road. Sometimes we use nearby FARs as data points, but it sounds like we
I don't have that
those.
information at
Okay.
the moment, and we weren't asked for it, I think, because it doesn't apply. I think that was why we don't have the,
It's just a data point that sometimes we ask for when we think about the size, bulk, and scale of a project, but it's not required from the first meeting, is my understanding. The massing on, and some of the walls, I don't know where the plate of the garage and the ADU start and end, so I'm trying to keep this in the scope of the garage. But there's an area, and this might even be storage as well, from the public, from Seacliff. There's just kind of one massing wall, and then I think it's on the east elevation, on the west elevation. Did you consider softening that with glazing or vegetation or,
okay, so
I think it's,
3 here is the view from the, is that right? No, 3, yeah, 3 proposed north elevation.
okay, so
That's
this is
the view from the
street
street.
view.
So here you can kind of, you have a pretty clear line of where the transition is between the lower and the upper floors.
Okay. Can you go to the west and the east elevations?
So this is, again, it's this line across here is where that transition is occurring.
Okay,
And then garage door, and then again, there's that same sort of datum coming across here.
that's where the garage is.
Right.
Okay,
And this zone here along the east side is where the ADU is projecting into the ADU setback by some amount. We don't go all the way up to the edge of the setback because we really wanted to respect the neighbor.
okay.
And then this is a structural wall that's supporting that down below.
That's it for me right now.
Board Member Mosley, questions?
Can you please compare the plate height of the existing house with the plate height of the first story, the storage and garage level? And like how much drop in topography is so that we can like see where it lands? Like I see it visually, but I want to know the plate heights. Do you know the existing house?
So,
plate
yeah,
height?
this is 21 right here at the top of the gallery and the main house. And then up here, I think that's,
It's a
I think it's 22.6 or
Touch screen
22.
If
It's
it
a
helps.
touch- you can
Touch
zoom in.
screen, if you
Oh,
if you
it's a
can,
touch screen?
you should escape, like come out of the full screen mode and then.
Oh, that's helpful.
How about the front elevation, not the tall part of the existing house, this like front part that we're seeing?
This front portion, I'd have to double check, but I believe
Okay.
it's around 13.
Okay. So the plate height of the garage and storage, the first level, how much is it? Like the first level,
8.
not the whole thing, 8?
Yeah, we kept it as tight as we could.
Okay, and, okay. And is there any, I know that it's not part of this elevation, part of this presentation, but has there been any neighborhood photography from like streets adjacent to see like how this mass sits in the neighborhood? Any Google
So-
Earth?
No,
Okay.
but let me see if I can zoom in here. If you look at the neighborhood, the development in this area is very, very limited. There's some very densely built-up sites, but there are really 11 residences on this street, so it's a pretty limited.
And have there been like study in the street about the second stories? I know that we're not commenting on the second story, but like the maximum height of the buildings in the neighborhood, like in this street specifically?
There
not
are
in-
second stories in the street,
Okay,
yeah.
in the street, okay.
And the neighbor most directly adjacent to the ADU is very supportive of the project.
Okay. I don't want to jump off on or cut you off, but just because we're on this topic, are there any instances of detached garages sited in a similar location to where you're proposing yours?
In the front yard?
On the street.
On the street.
This house here, I don't believe it's detached, but there is a garage facing the street. It's the most prominent piece toward the street, this right here. This one here.
Project in construction.
Yeah, this is
on
this
the
is a
proposed-
detached, actually, that's a good point, thanks, Greg. There's a detached garage right here, too, in a similar position to ours on the property to the west. Yeah, and it's along the setback, same as exactly what we would have.
Okay, and just to follow up, that it's a garage, and do you know that if there's any storage proposed in the front setback in the street?
Nothing is in the front setback. None of this project is in the front setback.
Okay, thank you. Front
It's just
yard.
in the front yard, yeah.
Questions, Board Member Richards?
Sure. Can you walk me through that existing olive grove that you guys had? Do you have photos of that?
Yeah. So, not the greatest photo showing it. Let's see though, here you start to see some of it to the right of the entrance to the main house. And if I was to step 2 feet to the left, I'd get another one of those olives. There's a series of 6 olives there they're just getting established, but they're filling in. And then you have native grasses and lavender throughout that area, so it's more of a meadow. This was not long after it was completed, so it's grown in a lot since this photo was taken.
And then I guess another question I had is what's the rationale for canting the storage wall? Is it just to match the property line? Because it seems like everything else in this project's so rectilinear.
It's the limit of the setback, and so in order to maximize what we could without having to move the driveway and the gate and the entrance, we maximized the building up to that setback. And
I guess what I'm struggling with is that storage structure necessary to support the ADU above it?
it certainly helps. We're hoping to do this as a modular project, and so in order to carry those modules, we'll need as much as possible below them. Yeah.
Any more questions?
I have one follow-up question about the trees. Is there, now that the location of the new garage, is there any existing trees that are?
Yeah, there are some ornamental fruit trees that are unhealthy and some date palms in that front paved area, and we'll be removing those.
And is there anything replacing those? Any
Yeah,
proposed?
we are going to propose probably some shade trees that will work well with the olive grove, or possibly olives. We're still determining what we want to propose there.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, we intend to replace them. The idea is that sort of orchard continues, and it feels like all one piece in the front.
A question to staff. Is there in that code section that mentions the storage is not allowed in the front setback or garage is okay there? Is there a square footage maximum that it's mentioned?
I don't know. There is a square footage maximum for garages, I believe. Garages are allowed to be in the front setback. I believe it's just in the front yard. It's just the storage isn't allowed to
Isn't
be in the
allowed.
front yard.
The maximum for the garage is 750 square feet, and we're pretty well below that.
Below that?
Yeah.
I was going to ask. Okay, thank you so much.
Can you go to this?
And just apologies for the interruption, but I wanted to clarify. I think that when I was trying to summarize the scope of work, I said front setback modification, but I meant front yard. So I just wanted to clarify that as we're discussing this, that we're talking about the front yard.
get it, we
Yeah.
get it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it.
Can you go to the site plan again, please? And so Why are you demolishing the existing garage?
We're not. We're turning it into a media room as part of the
Oh,
main
that's right.
house.
You're converting the, and that is over there.
That's
in
the
that
zone
gray.
right here, right.
And, okay, that's right. I remember that from the scope of work.
And also with this site, if, I'm going to go to the survey just to help walk you through it. The soils on the half of the property to the north are very stable, but as you know, with Cliff Drive and the bluffs, they're very unstable. So we really want to do a minimal amount of work in this area. So this is not really a great option for putting an ADU on the south side of the house. So we're really limited to this part of the project.
And do you have any site photos from the street? I don't remember seeing those for some reason. I'm just, I remember seeing the site photos from, if that's the street. Can you zoom in on the street? Like, where's the street?
The street is behind the gate.
right there.
So this is, the street is
Oh,
on
those
the
are- all
other
those
side of
photos
that.
are taken
These are
from
all
inside the site.
yeah.
Do you have
This
any
is all
street
from the-
photos?
I did, but for some reason I'm not seeing them here.
Because it would really help, because
Yeah.
the only thing we're allowed to comment on is the storage.
Right.
So,
We also, all of these photos, I think I got a little confused because you're talking about fruit trees, but all of these photos, they're not covering yet. We don't
It's
have
just-
photos of the actual site of development. It's just where you're pointing over that wall, correct?
Yeah, this corner, this is the photo of where the development's happening. The building will be sitting from sort of right in this zone here. That is where the ADU's going.
You don't have any closer photos of if you were to walk?
Here's another one. That's right next to one of those fruit trees there.
We just can't see though because of the wall in front of it, I guess.
yeah, and when we go on Google Earth, it's blurred out. Somebody requested it to be blurred out, so we can't. I mean, if the only thing that we're being asked to look at is, or comment on is the first level garage, it would be nice to see if you could see it from the street. And there's no site photos of this from the street anywhere yet that we've
So-
seen.
No. This view is taken from the street, and so as soon as you're down at street level, you would not be able to see it.
How high is the wall?
6 feet.
6 feet, okay. Would have been nice to have had photos of the street.
I'll make sure we have them for next time.
Huh?
I'll make sure we have them for next time.
And any more questions, comments?
3:57 p.m.
Board Member Cafati?
You want me to jump in?
Yeah.
Why do I have to jump in first?
You don't have to.
My comments, so I would like to see more photos of the site of development. So if you could peek over that wall and take more photos of the site or walk in there, and then definitely from the street at different angles. So one head-on, one kind of angling towards that west elevation, and then one from the east elevation from the street. It would be great. I think you mentioned if there are any other examples of the detached garage in the front yard, if you have photos or more information about that, or even more examples than the one mentioned, that would be really helpful as well. I think yeah, just figuring out how this works into context of the neighborhood. And it's challenging when we do see the ADU above because we're really trying to think about just the garage. And learning all of these new rules that constantly seem to be changing with ADUs and what's in our purview and what's not. But I think if we could better understand the massing from the street and the aesthetic from the street, again, at different angles, so one head-on, one at, you know, if you were to continue driving, that would be helpful. And then you mentioned the olives that you'd be planting, but like sizes and more information on that, because it sounds like that will probably also screen from the street.
Well, really what you'll see are those trees. Will be the wall and the trees.
From the front shot, but I think also even, you know, again, from the angle towards back, kind of looking at that west elevation where there's the biggest proposed massing where that garage is, would be helpful to kind of see how that will read from the street too, for me. Okay.
All right, is that it? Board Member Mosley.
I think most of the items Board Member Graffiti mentioned, and it would be great to see as much as possible images. And just to clarify, the fruit trees has been removed already? No?
We will be removing them.
Okay. If you can see pictures of those and like the, as mentioned, the proposed trees and the ratio of like how many trees are removed, how many are proposed. And a question to staff, I want to make a comment, but I want to get clarification. So the ADU will go to administrative process after if the project gets support on the front yard mod and everything goes well, then it will go to administrative process. Will it come back to us at some point or no?
The ADU will not. The ADU will not.
And the timing of that approval is after all of this?
It is with this the coastal development permit. So with Show, the staff hearing officer, they'll be making the findings for the modification and the coastal development permit for the ADU.
Okay, so it's later than this, not, like, it's not currently in the process of getting approval?
The admin is just basically saying that the ADU meets the criteria in our municipal code. So when the staff hearing officer, one of the findings is that, in the staff report is that the ADU meets the criteria.
Okay. Thank you so much. And if possible, some images from the vacant, I'm not sure, is that vacant lot in front of it at the project, or it's the neighbor that it has all those lands? So a little bit like further, so we can see them massing.
These sites here, right?
Yes.
Those are 3 potential building sites that I believe are going through.
Okay. What I mean is like a little bit far away image, and have the massing, and like have like a limit that we can only comment on the storage level, so we'll see like what it's visible.
How well screened
Yes.
it is.
Yeah,
Understood.
exactly. Thank you so much.
For the fruit trees, because you brought up a good point that just reminded me, those are in the front yard setbacks. So will that go through street tree advisory? Okay.
Okay.
But it hasn't yet.
No.
Okay.
We're about to get started on that.
Got it.
Board Member Richards' comments.
Yeah, I think having the neighborhood context photos, up and down the street, and then, filling out, so we have a better understanding of what's going on the site too. I think that'll be really helpful. I don't know if anybody else on the board would support this, but I feel like an FAR study for the neighborhood would be helpful, just because we are so far over 140%, but I get some support from the other board members on that.
If it's not applicable, why zoning requirements?
Excuse me, we're under deliberation, so
Sorry.
let's just think about this for a minute. Normally, we would, on a guideline FAR, normally we would not ask for the backup documentation, and there's no requirement for a waiver from the backup documentation because the project site is over 15,000 square feet. But Sebastian, are we allowed to ask for a surrounding ADU, surrounding properties, FARs, and
Study or something.
even though it's
Yeah,
in the
even though it's
guideline?
just a guideline, let me quickly double check. Unless Graffiti, board member
anybody-
Graffiti already has.
Yes, we have before, and you can. And it's not, again, we got to get away from the number and what's required. It's more because mass, bulk, and scale is in our scope, so there's many different things we can look at for that. But part of it is a question that we're also getting is other examples of the garage in the front, since it's the main residence is already built. So it's more about our ability to decide if mass, bulk, and scale this fits in. So, but yeah, I think it's worth asking for that road to just know, are we in the general ballpark?
Board Member Richards, you were in the middle of your.
Yeah, so that, I do think the canted wall is just a little out of place. I think you could square that up a little bit and make it more harmonious with the rest of the house and with the proposed structures. So those are all my comments.
Everybody made their comments? Personally, I'm not minding the skewed wall because you can't see it from anywhere, essentially. And you really aren't going to be able to see the lower level storage or garage from the street at all because of the 6-foot high wall in front. I think it's really hard for me to believe that a 2-story ADU in a front yard is not in the coastal zone that requires a CDP is not under our purview. I honestly but I trust that you guys have done all that research. So, what I'm hearing is that it's not quite ready to go to staff hearing officer, and I'm hearing an indefinite continuance to return to the full board with the comments to provide a study of the 20 closest homes, FAR, because the percentage of floor area ratio is significant. And the second comment would be that the applicant return with a clear description of the proposed trees and any and all trees that are being proposed to be removed. And the third comment would be for the applicant return with photos of the street and surrounding neighborhood, especially the neighbor across the street. Well, I don't even think we need to say that, but just the neighboring photos and street photos, photos from the street. That would be my motion. Do I have a seconder for that motion?
I'll second.
And do we have any discussion? No?
My discussion would just be, is it 20 closest, is that what, or Sea Cliff, but I'm fine with 20 closest. I just didn't know if we wanted to narrow it down more just because of the,
We can narrow it
you
down.
look at that block.
It's just like a sprawled streets.
You got Cliff on the other side of that, and I don't know.
We can narrow it down to the down below, the homes down below really are not relevant. So
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to amend my motion to instead of the 20 closest homes would be to include the homes on Sea Cliff only. Is the seconder of the motion okay with that?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay. Did you have another? Okay, all right.
Great. We'll take a vote. Board Member Moslahi?
Yes.
Board Member Graffitti?
Yes.
Board Member Richards?
Yes.
Vice Chair Sherry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So moving on to item 3, which is 615 Bath Street. This is a proposal to construct a 2-story building comprised of 629 square feet garage and a 440 square foot storage area on the first floor and a 704 square foot residence with an attached 349 square foot accessory dwelling unit on the second floor. The project also includes a 284 square foot upper story deck serving the primary unit, a 258 square foot upper story deck serving the ADU, and a new driveway and curb cut. The proposed total of 2,122 square feet on a 2,999 square foot lot is 97% of the guideline maximum floor area ratio. Staff hearing officer review and approval of an open yard modification is required. No appealable decision will take place at this hearing. Staff hearing officer requests comments for the project design supportability for an open yard modification. Neighborhood preservation findings will be required when the project is reviewed for project design approval. Your name for the record.
Sergio Ormachea with Vanguard Planning.
Oh, and I do have staff comment.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you.
Hold on just one second.
Thank you, appreciate it. So I'm not the design case planner for this project. This is actually Pilar Plummer's project, but she's absent today. So she gave me some notes to read out loud to provide some context. So the project involves a proposal for a new building comprised of a garage and storage on the first floor and a primary residence with an ADU on the second floor. The project proposes 215 square feet of open yard area at the rear of the building. Given the lot size, a modification is requested to not meet the minimum open yard requirement of 800 square feet. Staff is generally in support of the modification request in this case because the site is constrained in terms of a lot size at 2,999 square feet, which limits available open yard while balancing providing covered parking and a building footprint that can accommodate a modest-sized residence and ADU. It should also be noted that due to the proximity to Mission Creek, habitable floors are required to be elevated. Hence, the first floor is limited to garage and storage. The project provides 2 upper story decks for a combined total of 542 square feet. While these decks technically technically don't meet the open yard standard because they are not on grade, they do provide area in addition to the open yard behind the building that can be used for outdoor enjoyment. The board should provide comments on the aesthetic appropriateness of the overall design and requested modification, and if comfortable, should continue the project to the staff hearing officer for deliberation on the modification request. If the modification is approved, the project will subsequently return to the SFDB for project design and final approval.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. And I'll start with the photo package here. The lot is in yellow. It's a rather vacant lot right now. I just want to point out there's multiple single-story and double-story single-family residences, apartment complexes. Directly adjacent to the site is a parking lot and a driveway. And here is the Mission Creek that is running right in front of our property. Let me flip through these guys. Here's the site. The neighbor. Just a couple of homes in the area. It's all Craftsman, lap siding, asphalt shingles. Same thing here. Some stucco, 2-story. And this is the site, basically. No trees or, just vacant estate. We do have trees in the rear and on the side that are rather large and creating a large shade and shadow for the property. So let me flip through these. Okay. And then I'm going to scroll all the way up to the topo. Just to point out, one is the Mission Creek Bridge right in front of the site, and what is here is the base flood elevation, the FEMA base flood elevation, which is set at 39 feet. Our grade is rather flat. You can see here 33 and 33, so that gives us about, that's a 6-foot elevation. Why that's important is because it pushes all habitable spaces to be on the second floor. Let me scroll to the here we go. Briefly to mention, these are the private deck / open yard for the single-family residence in the front, and then in the ADU in the rear. They both share entry deck and stair on the west side. And I'll briefly show the elevations and sections where you could clearly see, if I zoom in a little bit, here's a 6-foot base flood elevation plus the 2 feet above that for the minimum requirement for a finished floor. And so, and we're 1 foot above that, so you could see the garage and the all habitable spaces above in that one. Let me stop at the render here. And this is the result based on the constraint from the Mission Creek is a 2-story Craftsman style influence. It's got some Spanish influences to it. The main body is all stucco, smooth and lap siding, both to be a light gray blue color with all the trim work and accent exposed timbers and columns and things like that to be painted white. Again, here's that tree we were looking at in the very beginning. And so the hope is that the building will be this light feel to it in this dark area. With that, I'll stop and open to questions.
We'll move to public comment first, actually. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Sherry. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for this particular project, and I see no one in the audience to make a comment. So we will move on to virtual attendance. And at this time, I do not have any hands raised for virtual attendance on this virtual comment on this project. And we did not receive any written correspondence for this project. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Vice Chair Sherry.
Thank you. Okay, questions from the board. Board Member Richards.
Sure. While we're on this image, so what's the materiality of the fascia at the deck? Is that going to be wood? Is that going to be stuck? Okay, wood. And then I guess another question is, where did you, or kind of what studies did you have for the proportionality of those lower support columns?
Well, one, these are going to be, there's going to be an actual, most likely a 6x6 column in the inside, and this is going to be cased, almost kind of like a finish on top of it. So structurally, it's most likely going to be a 6x6. As far as the sizes of it, they're around 18 by 18, and we just wanted to have this kind of heavy base at the bottom, and then kind of taper, also continuing that taper on the top columns.
Okay. And then what are the, maybe this is too early for this, but materiality of doors and windows, what are you planning on using for that?
Yeah, well, we're going to use either aluminum or fiberglass for that. It's going to be all white, not vinyl. So.
I think that's all my questions for now.
Board Member Mosley. Okay. One question is, you mentioned the base flood elevation and the second story being 1 feet above the design flood elevation.
Mm-hmm.
What are the proposed ideas, like structurally for the garage level? Is it like a flood-proof or like how do you address that, because they're like in design flood elevation?
Right. Great question. So all of it, it's either going to have to be CMU filled with concrete or concrete formed, but we're going to move forward with a CMU filled with concrete. And then on the exterior, we're going to have a stucco smooth applied to it to have it continuously applied on top on the second floor. That's the main reason why the second floor is stucco also. Originally, it was going to be lap siding, but I think it's, yeah, and it just seemed more appropriate to have that continuous surface.
Okay. And have you done any study of the second story, two-story buildings in the street adjacent neighborhood? Like how many of the closest house are, because I'm seeing a lot of like one level around
Sure.
when I'm looking at it on Google Earth, and I've drove there.
Sure, yeah. So directly across, there's one that's, I mean, this is a two-story. It's incorporated part of the roof. It's very small. But directly adjacent to the property here, let me see if we could have one that pulls away. It's two-story apartment complexes. Let me, hold on a second. So here you could kind of, so here's that big tree that we're always referencing, and behind that is the two-story. This one's slightly stepped back. What you can also see, you can see a window here directly behind it, and sometimes it's very hidden because there's oak trees and things like that.
I think what the question was is what other two stories are right at the street in the neighborhood?
Yeah.
If I could help you.
Yes, and a follow-up question I was gonna say was that, like, have you guys done, I know it's early, like a FAR study because we're almost close to 100%.
Yeah, we have done an FAR study. It should be on the cover page. Again, the ADU is not part of the, won't count towards it.
By FAR study, I mean comparison to the neighborhood.
Oh, to the neighborhood. No, we have not.
Okay,
No, we
just
have
wanted
not.
to ask that. Okay, that was all my questions, if you want to answer more.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we could also add more photos of more two-story homes
Okay, thank you.
directly.
Yeah, and I just did want to clarify for the board that that's not something that we would have asked the applicant to provide for this hearing, an FAR study, just because it is guideline.
Because
So-
of what?
Because it is guideline floor area ratio, not required. So when a project is over 85% of the maximum required floor to lot area ratio, that's when we require a 20 lot study, or ask specifically to waive it here at this hearing. So the fact that the applicant doesn't have it isn't, yeah, we wouldn't have asked that for them in the
Why
first
is it
place.
guideline?
Guideline.
Why is it guideline?
Oh, why is it I believe it's the size of the lot. I think it's 2,999 square foot lot size, and it's a lot size that determines the guideline.
I don't think in this case. Usually it's like a 15,000 square foot lot that pushes it to guideline.
I'll go ahead and double check the plans here, but and
I don't
Sometimes
think
it's
I don't think the
zoning.
FAR is a guideline on this small size of a lot.
okay. It is what it says in the scope of work, so let me go ahead
Do you
and
know
clarify
why it's a
that
guideline?
on my end, if I can.
Because sometimes it's certain zoning. If it's zoned for
It could be, I'm
types
not,
of housing, but it's definitely not the lot size.
yeah, no, I do not know. Could be
Okay.
the zone.
Okay, well, staff's going to find out.
Yeah, great. The reason I asked was not about like being a requirement or guideline, it's just like because we're gonna comment on the bulk and scale of the project comparing to the neighborhood. That's why I was like, what are the closest, like, not like requirement, but like, can we see like the FAR of the neighbors so that we can compare it to the, from bulk and scale standpoint? That was my point. Okay, that was all my questions.
Oh, and to answer your question, it is because of the zone it's located
Okay.
in. It's located in the RMH zone. So that has different FAR guidelines than a single-family residential zone. It's a multi-unit residential zone, so that's why the difference.
That's right.
Yeah, great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
More questions?
Yeah.
Is it my turn?
Oh,
I
go
don't
ahead.
know who was done.
You're done.
Okay. Can you, okay, so we have the deck facing the street. Can you walk me through the deck that's in the backyard?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, got it. So it's on that side, on the other side of where the road is to the back apartments? Okay,
And then there's a retaining wall here, and the neighboring grade is about 8 feet above.
okay. And then have you checked with an arborist at all about like the excavation for the project with that large, I think it's a sycamore there? Or is that of any concern?
We have not yet.
Okay,
It is rather far away. I mean, we have the 6 feet away from the setback. And
Okay.
the sycamore is not shown.
Okay.
But,
helpful. And then I think we asked question, oh, for the open yard. So we're being asked to review the staff hearing officer for an approval of open yard modification. So it sounds like that currently required is 800 square feet. What are you proposing to have?
We're proposing two things. It's the private decks. One is 284 for the SFR. ADU is 258, so that's
Oh, pardon the interruption. Sergio, can you make sure you speak into the microphone if it's not on?
No, it's not on.
Oh,
my
okay,
bad.
thank you.
Sorry, my bad. So in it, we have, on the first floor, we have the open yard. Let me go over here. So we have 215 at the bottom, and then on the top, we're proposing, the deck is 284, and in the rear for the ADU is 258. So that comes out to it's roughly 800. a little
Okay,
more.
roughly 800, but that is including
On the
both
ground,
decks,
both decks.
including open yard
Yes.
in the front for a deck. Okay. Okay. Do we know, and maybe this is something for next time, but I'm assuming we don't know off the top of our head, like in this neighborhood, similar conditions of open yards?
Okay, so another, okay.
I think I do want to clarify that. I think I can see the intent of that question for neighborhood compatibility, but I do want to clarify that, you know, supportability of the modification is something that the staff hearing officer makes. But if the question is more so for design questions about let me see what it is. Give me 1 second here.
About the design of the decks as we think about
correct.
that in terms of open yard? Okay.
Correct. So, you know, usually for zoning modification comments, right, and I'm quoting
Okay.
just from our slides here, it's the modification is aesthetically appropriate or
Okay.
not appropriate. So I just want to make
Okay.
sure that questions and things.
Got
It's
it.
good for context, but again, it's about the aesthetic appropriateness as the
Okay.
board's purview.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you.
I had a question. You mentioned that there was Spanish influences. What were you talking about?
I was referring to the body itself being smooth stucco, as opposed to, like if you could see.
You're just saying that a stucco finish is a Spanish influence.
I would say, I mean, otherwise, because if I say it's craftsman style, I think all lap siding or something like that, whereas this is kind of like a mix, is my interpretation.
Okay,
of it.
and then do you have any other photos? I think it's already been asked, but, and I think your answer was no. You don't have any other second-story massing that's on this block, on the street, on either side of the street, of massing that close to the street?
No.
Okay. Okay, and then can I see the exterior elevations on all the sides? We saw the rendering, but I didn't really pause.
Right. So we'll start, this is the front, south elevation from public view, stairs going up, garage, two-car garage, this is the front deck.
Speak into the mic.
Oh, yeah, just a reminder for the microphone. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Thank you. This is the rear deck. Very similar with the aesthetic of the columns and the gable roofs there. This is on the east side, what you would see as if you're going into that parking lot or driveway to the side. Again, same thing, columns there. This is the elevation to the east. That's very kind of more calmed down. So.
Okay, comments? Board Member Richards.
Sorry, sure. Could we go back to that rendering? I'm just trying to decide if there's something graphically that I'm not seeing right. So if we look down into the cavity just to the left of the garage door, is there a wing wall that extends out, or is that just it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and is
That
that
may-
to pick up the second floor?
Correct.
Or? Okay.
Yeah. Yes. And then we have a large beam coming across to hold that wall. We haven't gotten structure involved at this point. If that does become an issue or something, we could try to play with it. But also is the stairs, also if you see on the right side. the
Captures
location-
the stairs as well, yeah. Okay.
So it kind of seems like it wants to have both of those symmetrical.
Well, I mean, generally, I'm in support of this project. I think, you know, it's a great use of an empty lot and bringing some housing to our community. So I'm generally in support of it being the only solution to make this lot kind of a viable building site. So for that reason, I think I can support the two-story massing of this. I think it would be nice to get an arborist report just to ensure that that tree is carefully protected. And then I look forward to some additional details and doing kind of a deep dive onto arts and crafts. So.
Board Member Mosley, comments?
Okay, I agree with all the comments that was made. I don't know if you have already talked with a neighbor to the east and north about the project and if they have supportability of this project, but that will be part of our guidelines, good neighbor guidelines, so that we are sure moving forward. And if we're going to comment on the elevation, especially that the one that it's facing to the neighbor to the, I believe it's east, we want to know that if they're supportive of the project. And I think as well, the adding housing to this neighborhood on this vacant lot will help our housing issues. And I think having a, not exactly like a 20 closest home FAR study, but a study that makes a point and argue that there are two-story houses in this neighborhood, and due to the limited size of the lots, there are similar scale and bulk of the houses that has maybe less than the required open yard square footage wise, so that you can support this the project. But I'm supportive of the front yard, the open yard mod that was requested. I think it's reasonable with this the size lot, but definitely I want to see more details of the dedicated style, just to clarify a little bit if it's a, what are you going with more details?
Okay, Board Member Graffiti, comments?
Okay. I just want to ask one more question.
Yeah,
For
go ahead.
height, what is the height at the top of the ridge line?
I think it's 23.8.
23.8,
Let me
okay.
double check for you. Yeah, 23.8 at the
Okay,
ridge.
helpful. So I agree with some of the comments made. I understand the intention of why we're asking for the open yard modification and the way some of the elements are cited. What I'm having a really hard time with, or I'm just struggling with a little bit, is how this fits in with the street in the neighborhood. Part of that's just height, overall bulk. I think the way that the bulk is facing the road, facing Bath, just seems a little bit looming. And I think if that was the language of what was happening on this street, I'd feel a little more comfortable with it. But it is a lot of single-story craftsman homes, or when they have a second story, it is stepped back and more in keeping with what we have in our guidebook. Though I understand what we're struggling with and trying to create as much square footage for housing and, you know, all the other program and everything you're trying to accomplish here. So I think I'm struggling with it a little bit more in just the way that it's cited. And I would like to see site photos from Bath Street and the residential properties, you know, maybe adjacent and parallel to Bath Street. I forget which street is. I can get it for you. Maybe Ortega, and I don't know if, no, St. Vincent wouldn't be. More neighborhood context photos, and maybe even photos if it's outside of the neighborhood, but successful representations of where a craftsman second-story home has been executed, and maybe inspiration from this would just be helpful for me to kind of wrap my head around a project of this size on this size of a lot in this neighborhood. There's also something to me that feels a little bit off about the columns, but I am the non-architect of the group, so I'll leave that to my peers to provide commentary if they see fit. And agreed with the arborist report. I know you said 6 feet off of that, but that is a massive, beautiful tree. Would just want to make sure that, we're all good there.
Thank you. I too have one more question. Can you go to the site plan really quickly? It's a quick question. The proposed site plan. The back, specifically the back. And that is right up next to the rear yard setback, 10 feet. And but what you're actually providing is more open yard than what you're allowed to show, because staff won't allow you to show the area underneath those columns as open yard, even though the area to the left of your 215 square foot open yard is actually still open yard, even though staff isn't allowing you to call it open yard. Right?
Yeah, that's my understanding, that we can't because it's covered.
Yeah.
Yes, it's because
Okay,
it's covered.
But it's technically open yard. I just want the board to also understand that too, so.
But it is a constraint, yes.
And it's all, zooming out, that is all open yard for the, it's basically open yard for the rear unit. Well, there's no square footage on the lower level, so can you go to the west elevation again? The rear elevation?
Yeah.
Since we're commenting about the open yard. It's open yard that has no windows to it, because that's all. What's behind that window?
This
On
one
the lower
is,
level, yeah.
it's storage.
It's storage.
Yeah, it's garage and storage.
Okay. So that helps me with my comment. So I'm trying to figure out what was not quite right, and I fully support a project of this size on this lot, a 2-story, the 2 units. I think it's a great idea. What's not quite right yet, and I'll start with the columns on the front elevation, and that is the span. The span of those 2 columns supporting that large span is going to have to be done with a steel beam, and it would not be in keeping with the proportions of traditional craftsman style. That's what's not working, in my opinion. So if you go back to the rendering, which is really nice, thank you, that's what's not quite right. And the other thing that's not quite right is what Board Member Richards brought up, and that's those wing walls, which are not in keeping with a craftsman style at all. They're just very industrial looking support walls that support the beam that's needed to get the cantilever that you need to do the large deck above. So that's also not in keeping with the style, with those wing walls on the front. And then on top of that, you've got it's a great deck, don't get me wrong, but it's right at the street. And it's not the fact that it's on the street that bothers me, it's the fact that it's got a covered gabled roof that's exacerbating the massing at the street. And all the board members have commented on the fact that the entire upper level deck is covered, which I can completely understand from a livability standpoint, that you would want that covered, but it is east facing, and it's going to be in shade most of the time. And I think that because it's exacerbating the massing, and you've got an issue, and you're getting questions from the board about providing streetscapes down the street of 2-story massing that's that close to the street, that's also exacerbating it. But I encourage you, and I don't want you to remove open yard for the upper level facing the street. I think that encourages community connectivity. I think it could help the architecture, but it's the fact that the columns are such a wide span, and then they're stacked, and then that it's also the same 20 1-foot span on the upper level that's supporting a big gable with, it's a tall gable because it's spanning 20 feet. And I think that you could maintain, I think that's a way to maintain open yard on the front of the building. And I think that the back of the building, being next to the creek, it's a better opportunity for taking advantage of an upper level open yard on the back of the building. You have a small one, go to the back elevation again. You have a small balcony, but it's, I think that's where the massing for, don't comment, I know you want to, but don't yet. I think that's where you could do a bigger open yard facing the creek that would be more usable. And in addition to the lower level open yard, and maybe the upper level ADU that could be their open yard, and the front unit could get the open yard in the street and the additional open yard on the back, or it could be a common area in the back. So I just think there's a way to make better use of the open yard. And, hold on. So if you could come up with an example of a long span with the Craftsman columns that looks appropriate, that might be a way to come back if you don't want to look at a way to redesign those columns. But there's other ways. There's other ways to pick up a cantilever deck without putting columns and a clear span of 21 feet on the lower level on each side of a garage door. I also think that the massing isn't being helped by a 9-foot plate on the upper level, and you could do a partially vaulted upper level, but I think the upper level has a 9-foot plate. And I think that that's also exacerbating that massive and that view from the street. And I believe it would be the only 2-story that close to the street with that much mass. So those are my comments. And did you want to say one last thing? I'll let you.
Just to continue, thank you. Just on the massing of it, I was looking at this, and I hear the comments. I'm wondering also, looking at the soffit space here, I wonder if it would be lighter if we exposed all the rafters on the inside to have it look more of a trellis look.
Maybe if the gable were brought back and it was just a trellis on the upper level, that might help. But just look for ways to decompress the front loading of the 2-story volume would be my comment.
Can I add something?
Yes, if you make a motion. Or I can.
Can you go to your axon views? I forgot to ask you about the roofs, like where the roofs combine together. I think like there's one location that happens at the balcony of the ADU, and there's one that it's in the middle. So I think like in part of your study of like the progressing the style and detailing of the house, the location that the roofs reach together, that's a point that we are missing now. And the other comment that I have is if you zoom out, I know on the front elevation and the back elevation, because of the balcony, you have this fascia band like that it's going, and it might be not that much visible from the neighboring side, but like looking at this, the other on your left one, the wall that doesn't have any like the horizontal band, and like feeling that like the material, like the cracks and everything that will by time will happen. So studying if along with your architectural details that are representing your style, if having a horizontal band make the massing like a little bit shrink for the adjacent neighbors. It might be not visible if you bring more images, and it's a decision that you can make later. Okay, that's all.
All right, well, I will make a motion then for indefinite continuance back to the full board.
Yeah, I would like to comment that the case planner did let me know that this project does have it's what's it called? It's a PSA timeline. I think it has it already been deemed complete, Sergio? Yeah, so we're kind of within the, I believe, the 60-day timeline. And if we are going to continue that, I do have, and this is to the applicant, I do have September 26th, September 22nd open at the full board. And we can continue to date certain, but I would need plans by September 15th. So is that something that you can do? If not, the next open date I have is October 20th. So, yeah, so it's quite delayed.
We'll take it.
Okay, all right. So I'll have you on for the 22nd and resubmittal required by the 15th. And so if in the motion, Vice Chair Sherry, if you could continue to date certain of September 22nd for the full board.
This is an indefinite continuance back to the full board for until September 22nd.
To date certain, correct.
To
come back
to a date certain.
So,
Return back to the full board with the following comments.
thank you.
The board is generally in favor of a two-story massing on this property and appreciates the need for development of this size, considering the nature of the small lot size. And the applicant is to return with a solution to resolve the massing of the second story, the extent of the massing of the second story at the front porch facing the street, as it is exacerbated by the solid full-depth gabled roof. And the board, one suggestion is to pull the gable back to the building line and propose a lighter covering for the front porch, the upper level front porch. The applicant is to look for ways of increasing the open yard on the upper level of the rear / creekside elevation, as it is less visible from the street. The board may request a decrease in the upper level plate height if another means of solving the upper level massing is not achieved. Right now, I'll leave that off as a study reduction of the 9-foot upper level plate height, but then add that for what I just said, Joni, about the board might request that to be lowered. Return with a solution or an example in the neighborhood of a clear span of 21 feet for the proposed craftsman column supporting the upper level deck, or provide another solution that more appropriately resolves the large span. And then period, the large span appears to be inconsistent with traditional proportions for craftsman architecture. Provide an appropriate solution for the side wing walls that is in keeping with the proposed style and not just solving a structural, not just providing a structural solution for the deck framing. Study the southeast plaster elevation and opportunities to break up the large two-story vertical wall by possibly extending the horizontal trim around that side of the building and other elevations. Return with an arborist report that addresses the proximity of the proposed development to the adjacent properties' large specimen tree. What is that tree? Can you see it?
I think it's either.
We'll leave that off since we don't know
Platanus
exactly
rasmus
what
or
it is.
it's
It looks like a sycamore.
Yeah, it
But,
does look like a sycamore.
But I'm going to leave that off because I'm not a landscape architect. And that is my motion. Do I have a seconder for the motion?
Oh, just before we second, I did want to clarify the arborist report. Just because of the tight turnaround for getting an arborist within about a week,
I understand that.
Is that
Okay, I'm going to rephrase that to say that the board will eventually require an arborist report to support the proximity of the proposed development to the adjacent tree.
Okay. We could.
But it is not required for the next meeting.
Thank you. Yeah, and we could require just that project design approval as well
Okay,
after the
that's
show
fine.
hearing. Yeah. Thank you.
And that's my motion. Do I have a seconder?
Under discussion, can we
Oh,
add?
wait, I need a seconder first.
Second.
Okay, under discussion.
In order to not come later, supportability, like recommend the applicant to reach out to the adjacent neighbor, especially
He
the.
owns the.
Oh, okay.
The property owner owns the adjacent house.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any more comments? Okay.
Okay, we'll take a vote. Board Member Moslahi?
Yes.
Board Member Graffitti?
Yes.
Board Member Richards?
Yes.
Vice Chair Sherry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Thank you.
Little massaging. Okay, moving on to item 4. We're a little behind, sorry about that. This is a project at 98 Loma Media, a proposal for a 786 square foot addition to an existing 1655 square foot main residence, new deck, pool, spa, and detached pergola with new paving, trees, and site work. The total proposed 3,232 square feet on 62,001 square foot lot is 62% of the maximum guideline floor area ratio. A creek is located at the corner of the property. No final appealable decision will take place at this meeting. Neighborhood Preservation Ordinance findings and hillside design district and slope lot findings will be required when the project is reviewed for project design approval. No staff, but Go ahead.
Yes, so I am the assigned case planner for this project. So I just want to provide staff comment that it's not in the scope of work, but because it's here for conceptual review, the applicant was interested in pursuing a minor zoning exception for a wall. I think it's located in the front yard in that area.
Vehicular gate and columns.
Thank you. Yeah, vehicular gate. So they provided some extra materials, and it was provided in the agenda plans. Just wanted to bring that up. And the applicant and I are also interested if the board would consider continuing this to consent, if at all possible. Thank you.
Hello.
Okay. Your name for the record.
Yes, Kaylee Grubb with Arcadia Studio. And I'm the landscape architect presenting for the architect. He's out of the country right now, so I've been well prepared. But he is watching online. I'm not sure that there's we don't have a speaker component to being online, correct? Just to confirm.
We do have a speaker online, but it's reserved for public comment. So if the architect would like to speak, I do suggest maybe texting. I've seen some
Yeah, I'll keep
applicants
my
do
phone
that.
handy.
Yeah, just in
Yeah,
case
has
you do get a
any question.
message.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you.
We'll keep it snappy. Okay, so this is a really modest scale project. It's on, to give you context, it's on Loma Media. So when you're heading uphill west on APS, it's one of those really sharp right-hand turns that kind of doubles back up into the Riviera. It is along one of the it's one of the driveways that kind of dives back down the hill, and so it has a funny angle as it comes up to Loma Media. I'm gonna zoom back out. It's an existing 1950s ranch with some Spanish detailing. It has an antique two-piece tile roof, and it's built out of the block that's made to look like adobe and plastered over currently. This context photo is very hard to even see this residence. It's really the smallest, one of the smallest square footage residences in the neighborhood for context. And so we'll scroll along. This is the proposed site plan. I'll go to the existing to give you better context of what's there currently. The garage is existing and not in scope. The driveway is existing as well. And this is kind of that unique connection it makes to the street. And so the reason we're asking for the minor zoning exemption is this gate is tucked quite a bit into the property, but because of the way the property line and driveway parallel the street, it's really hard to get. We'd be so far down the slope, and it's an area of APS that gets a lot of public pulling off, and so it's just security benefit if we can have that vehicular gate up there. And then just to give a little bit more site context, this is the existing footprint of the house facing the harbor view. It's an amazing view with a very low slung ranch house. Most of the plate heights are around 7.5 to 8 feet. And so to the addition being added to it is just to extend the gable ends to add 2 more bedrooms to the 1,400 square foot house, adding that up almost 700 change square feet to the north, which is away from a lot of the neighbor views. This whole area is very hard to view from any of the public view corridors. And down below the property, there's an existing ficus hedge installed by a previous owner, so there's the view angle from below would be from this private lane, and you really can't see the existing residence from below. We tried to take photos. Let's see. I think these are in a different order, so I'm just trying to, let me see if there's okay. I'm gonna come back, well, I can go through the materials board. So leaving the existing ridge line, most of the roof pitches are 3.5 and 12 or 4 and 12. These are the 2 extended gable ends that the proposed materials will be a mixture of this kind of rustic limestone stone and plaster, and then we're gonna match the 2-piece tile roof. Adding new steel windows and doors, especially to the south side where the views are. And then this gives context to the site. So we did some careful studying of the site planning. I think I'm going to go back to the site first, and I'll come back. So this site has a really significant amount of our native coast live oaks in this side, and there's kind of a gully ravine, not a Blue Line Creek or anything, but there's a pretty significant topography change over here. And so that is why most of the programming has landed either north and south of the house. This area is just less able to be developed. And we have had a preliminary arborist report done. Duke McPherson took a look, and the only oak that's looking to be impacted is this one. So we have plenty of room for mitigation if it appears that we need it, but they also are going to put the foundation of this addition on a caisson or a footing, like a pile, instead of cutting across the root system. So as part of this scope, we're proposing a new entry sequence hardscape, new hardscaping, and then a pergola structure off to the east, and then a new flagstone decking, infinity edge pool, and a little bit of decking off of that pool, the basin, and then we've taken a look at really studying how to not have a large infinity wall face there, really splitting it up into tiers, using a boulder banks wall down below to help us gain maintenance access for that basin, but it also gives us an opportunity to landscape kind of in tiers. So we'll go, this is the section that further explains that. The boulder bank isn't on this section yet, but it would go right in this vicinity, so you're at waist height for the infinity basin. And into the landscape plans, we're here at concept level, so, but generally Cherokee Creek or similar tan paving, flagstone paving. We're in the process of working out civil engineering, what our stormwater requirements will be. Most likely this vehicular section of flagstone and this flagstone directly adjacent to the pool will be grouted over slab, and the rest will have planted joints, so really soft to touch on the landscaping as we can, and then the deck so that we can have further permeability and just keeping it nice and soft. It's a preliminary plant palette. The owner would really love a few palm trees, and you know, with the fire zone we're in, we're putting those along the driveway further from the house, and then keeping it more fire safe closer to the house, and using that zone 0 with pots and minimal plantings. And then we just have the technical stuff. I think that's the presentation.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment.
Thank you, Vice Chair Sherry. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for this project. And if anyone wants to make a comment, they may do so. I see no one in the audience moving to fill out a slip, so we will turn our attention to virtual attendance. And I do have a hand raised for virtual attendance. One moment. All right. Mr. Troy Wargel, you
That's
will
the
have
architect.
2 minutes to speak.
Oh, is that?
Hello, can you hear me?
It's the architect, so I don't know how you have to categorize it.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. Please proceed.
Okay, I just wanted to, thank you, Kaylee, for presenting. And as far as the impact to the property, the house is set very low from the street, so literally every view from Loma Media looks over the house, and it's designed to be low impact and neighbor friendly, quite honestly. So I think it's, again, thanks for the review, and I'm going to lower my hand and hear the comments.
Thank you, Troy.
Thank you.
Okay, we will continue with public comment, and I have no further hands raised, and we did not receive any written correspondence for this particular project, so I thought I'll turn it back over to you, Vice Chair Sherry.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Board Member Mosley. Question.
I only have one question. The section that you showed that there's a secondary wall below the
Yes, I'll pull it.
pool. Is there is there any landscaping proposed below that? Southern than that?
Yes. So it'll be all landscaped from where the boulder bank is and south. Yes.
Thank you.
Questions, Board Member Richards?
Sure. What's the proposed finish for that 5-foot tall pool wall?
So we're looking at most likely a natural stone veneer, which this might not be the exact stone we end up with. You're talking about the infinity wall?
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
just-
So most likely something like this. We definitely will not have something reflective and high gloss or anything, but yeah.
That's my only question.
Board Member Graffiti?
Yeah,
Questions?
my questions are along the same line of that, but you don't have a rendering of that elevation with the wall, just bird's eye view, right?
Just
Correct?
bird's eye view right now.
Okay.
Yeah. They're all, just for reference, like between 3.5 and 4 feet, kind of stepped so that there's no big face.
Okay.
Yeah. And you only read the infinity basin, and the others will be covered in planting, so.
Okay. That's it for me.
Okay. Can I see the rest of the elevations again, all of the elevations?
Yeah. Would you like the rendered one or the line drawing?
I don't care, just the other elevations,
Sorry,
the other 3 elevations.
Yes. I think they got out of order in this. Just looking for what sheet. I actually don't see them in here, Sebastian. They're in the submittal set.
Yeah, let me go ahead and double check. I know that we did receive like an updated plan set specifically for this hearing. I did provide
there
those
two
ones, but I can pull up the submittal that we reviewed. I think that might have all
Okay,
the
thank you.
elevations. Give me
I thought
one
this
moment.
seemed small when I
Yeah.
was.
While we're waiting for that, can you go to the front elevation again? And there's something on the right. There was a roof, a rake on the very right-hand side that comes down. If you zoom in on that area right there.
Yeah.
And explain, I know you're not the architect, but is that a shed roof in front of a gable behind it that picks up 3 separate changes in horizontal plan view, and it's one big shed that picks all those up? Maybe go to is there a roof plan?
So, to clarify, there is, and I don't think it is in this step for some reason either. It steps back at this eave, and this eave, and then this eave. So they,
That's the only way that it could
yeah.
pick up all 3. Okay, I see that now. That's why I wanted to see the other elevations.
Yeah. Am I able to show my paper plan?
Yes, and I'll have them up in just a minute.
Okay. With all the microphone clutter on there,
Let me just see.
but flip through. It's this one and then the next sheet, I believe.
This is the elevation we just saw, and
Yeah, and then the
these
next
are the
sheet.
courtyard elevations. And then the next sheet is that's the east. The south, there's your answered your question, Board Member Graffiti. There's the spill wall on the elevations. The spill wall is actually up here, and then there's,
This is that boulder,
okay.
So the boulder bank is not shown.
And then, this is old school, we used to do this.
I know, I like this.
This is why we used to present projects. And then this is the other side, there's that 3-stepped
oh,
gable, okay. So, okay, so that answers that question, but now, what is the combined height of your site section shows a much smaller, not spill wall, the spill wall is 5 feet something, but your lower elevation, this elevation shows a much higher lower wall, trough wall, than the site section does.
Yes, so that will also have a boulder bank helping soften that lower wall. So this isn't showing the boulder bank yet. That will additionally minimize that elevation.
Is that clear? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Board Member Graffiti.
overall in support of the project. I understand some of the site constraints for, I guess we don't have the MZE in here, but if I were to provide comments, I would be in support of that. And yeah, I think it's a really thoughtfully done project. I would like to see more in either a rendering of the elevation with the pool and the walls and the intention with the boulder bank and seeing how all of that comes together just to make sure. I think the intent is just so there's not a big massing, or some of the limestone in some of the photos was a little bit brighter. So I think just making sure it's not too much massing and too bright. But outside of that, I think it's a great project and happy to support it.
Board Member Mosley.
I also support the project. I think the addition to the north side it blends into the existing house, and it's done very like seamless. And if you're supporting the MZE as well, I can support it. It's necessary for this project and the way it sits in that road. And as was mentioned, Board Member Graffiti, just more detail of the south side of the walls, the landscape, and like a view, some existing pictures from the neighbors to the south, and like what it will be proposed. That will be really helpful for us for approving the project.
Board Member Richards, comment.
Sure, I think it's a thoughtfully laid out project. I wish we'd had more chance to review the elevations, because I'm a little confused with this rustic stone corner by the shower, and what that actually is. It seems like it's out of character with the rest of the house. But I think it's an attractive looking project. You guys are going the right direction. I just want to see more detail and more information, so.
Did you have a question on the corner you want me to address?
So it's just the corner at the shower that picks up that cut stone column, or is it repeated anywhere else around the house?
Can I see which?
Sure. So it's on
Oh,
that
we have
elevation.
it.
We have it now?
It's on this other elevation.
There's a stone column.
West view, it says.
West, and then rendered one, yeah. So you see it right there, the very clean edge on it.
Yes, let me see if Troy has texted me.
And where's that, maybe go back to the front elevation, let's see where that is, because you should be able to see that on the front, on the front
It's
elevation.
like right at the corner of the shower edge or something like that.
Where's that on the plan? Where's that column on the plan?
I think it's right
Right
here,
here?
but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, we can come back with an additional detail on, yeah.
Okay. I'm also in support of the project, and I would like to see as the other board members have already mentioned, I'd like to see the heights shown for both the spill wall and the trough wall, and any proposed landscaping that might also help mitigate that height of those two retaining walls. And then also, as Board Member Richards commented on, is refinement of the detailing in the stone column and other architectural details. So, look, does somebody want to make a motion for an indefinite continuance? And I'm also in support of the MZE for a vehicular gate at the driveway. Somebody make a motion for an indefinite continuance back. Oh, to consent possibly? Or no, maybe not?
I think
No.
the board and
Full board, indefinite continuance back to the full board. Who wants to make that motion?
I'll do it. So I move to continue this project back to full board.
Can we request prelim and final if we're coming back for full board? Is that possible?
think you might be able to request preliminary and final if you have all the
Oh,
material.
yeah, so I'll just do a quick explanation, is that we're just here for conceptual review, so this is, the comments here are just very broad comments on the overall design of conceptual plans. The next hearing would be for project design approval once staff deems your project complete. So for project design approval, we don't need any of the final approval details, but it's something that you as the applicant, you can prepare all that documentation with these comments here if it's supportable. Given the comments from the board today or that we're about to hear, it sounds like there's not going to be any huge changes to the massing or the siding. So I would recommend as your case planner that you might want to think about preparing final approval documents for your next hearing.
Great.
But it's going to be based on the comments that you're about to hear from the board now. So, but
Okay.
yeah.
So we can request to be agendized just for the change.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Regardless of what's, yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Thank
back
you.
to the motion. Board Member Richards, your motion was for indefinite continuance back to the full board.
Indefinite continuance back to the full board with the following comments, and help me make sure that I get them all. So with the elevations called out for the pool and site wall surrounding the pool, those elevation heights in relation to grade. Additional details for doors, windows, siding, et cetera. And yeah, it'd be nice to get the elevations all in there. I think that's about it.
Do I have a seconder for the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Under discussion, would it be okay for the maker of the motion to add, along with the comment about the proposed pool walls, to add any proposed landscape screening to soften the overall height, apparent height of those walls?
Yes, yeah.
Additional discussion?
Yeah, should we add anything about the gate, given we don't have a request for the MZE? Is that hopeful, or just save it for next time?
No, I would include MZE supportability. It is something that the applicant is requesting. It's not something that was included in the scope of work. So, but it is something that will be requested at project design approval.
So the board generally supports the MZE?
Great, thank you.
For the gates?
For the gates,
Regular
sorry.
At the front driveway entrance. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, wait.
We have to take a vote. Oh, sorry. So much
Vice Chair,
silence.
Vice Chair Sherry?
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti?
Yes.
Board Member Moslehy?
Yes.
Board Member Richards?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And
Great,
that
thank you.
concludes the full board agenda for the Single Family Design Board for September 8th. Have a nice evening, everyone.
Great, thank you.